Guys in the room have sat through one of these seminars before? Just curious. Okay. So it looks like we've got a lot of rookies. Well, that's good. For all you first-timers, this is my first time as well. Just kidding. I've done this about 30 times across the state. Now, when we talk about hotel tax, first of all, before we get into meat and substance, let me just briefly tell you guys who we are as the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association. We have been around since 1903. And so everything that you're going to hear from me today about hotel occupancy tax, the laws and regulations, how to efficiently implement and use the funds, this is coming from a perspective of a group that has literally helped write every single law on the books that deals with hotel tax. All right, so when we go to the legislature and we look at reforms potentially for these laws we're going to speak of, the legislature asks us for guidance and advice. We are the authority, if you will, the voice of the industry. So as we move along here through the presentation, please rapid fire your questions. This is not going to be one of those things where you sit through it and then at the end we have a Q&A. We can have a Q&A as well at the end. But as we move through, I'm here to help you guys and you guys only today, to tailor this specifically for your needs. So if I'm looking over here and someone has a question over here, throw a pin, all right? Get my attention, do something. I won't take any offense. All right, so my name is Brian Sullivan. I'm one of our 3 attorneys at THLA. I've been with the association about a year now. And of course, we are just coming off the end of our 84th legislative session, in which Scott, our CEO, Justin, our General Counsel, and myself were running mad dashes around one another at the Capitol, trying to make sure that all of our hoteliers, our lodging industry overall was protected and served by the 84th legislature. Proud to report that, of course, we were very successful. But focusing specifically on hotel tax today, I want to describe this process of how do we legally and effectively go about expending hotel tax revenues at the local level. Every time we talk about this issue, we're going to have a 2-step approach. The same 2-step approach will apply every time, whether you're talking about a small expenditure or the largest of the year. All right? I think a number of you, I see the agendas there, so you can kind of see where we're going with this discussion in terms of the 2-step approach. All right? Step number 1, I'm going to kind of lay out the big, bold legal standard, and then we're going to walk through it, all right? Every expenditure of the local hotel tax must directly enhance and promote tourism and the hotel and convention industry. All right, it's a big, bold statement. We're going to walk through it. The state legislature specifically and deliberately said every expenditure. All right, so we're not talking about a majority of the dollars. We're not talking about 50% plus 1. We're not talking about most of the money. We're literally saying every single dollar of hotel occupancy tax should go to directly enhance and promote tourism. Let's talk about directly for a second. You know, we have many sources of tax revenue in the state. At the local level, the other 2 main taxing sources are, of course, your property tax and your sales tax. Right? Now, property tax and sales tax are what we call general purpose taxes. They can be used for any governmental operation, if you will. Whether it's funding your schools, your infrastructure, your emergency services, police departments. All right? Any public purpose you can use sales and property tax for. But the hotel tax is entirely different. I describe them as apples versus oranges, or I guess apples versus an orange, right? Because the hotel tax is not a general purpose tax. It's why you see all those categories listed on that sheet of paper. The hotel tax is a dedicated tax. And so we talk about how to use the funds. We already know the legislature has told us the start and end list of all the legal ways to use those dollars. All right? So we're walking through our statement. Every dollar must directly enhance and promote tourism. Ask you guys a question. How do you think we define a tourist for purposes of this tax discussion? Who is a tourist?
Somebody not local.
Somebody not local?
Should have a mile radius on an actual tourist.
A number mile radius away? Okay. I'll tell you who's a tourist. It's actually pretty simple. A tourist, for purposes of the hotel tax discussion, is anyone from outside the city or the county. All right? It actually doesn't require a specific mileage threshold. You might find numbers elsewhere for other purposes, but not for hotel tax purposes. So I'm a tourist today. I'm from outside the city or county. Right? All right. Every expenditure directly enhance and promote tourism. And in big, bold, all caps, underlined, italicized, highlighted, whatever you want to think of it as, and the hotel and convention industry. You guys ever heard the phrase putting heads in beds? Okay. That's exactly where that comes from. The second half of the sentence. And the hotel and convention industry has to be geared to put heads in beds. All right. This is a good point where I like to remind folks the reason that what we're talking about is hotel occupancy taxes. There's a very good reason that they're even called that, right? If you think about it, every last cent, every penny that exists in your hotel occupancy tax fund exists because a room night was sold. Because someone stayed in one of your area lodging properties. Whether it's a hotel, a small or medium, large-size hotel, whether it's a bed and breakfast, any establishment that is bound to collect hotel tax, that's why you have these funds. So the legislature says you have to make sure that you have that direct impact on both tourism and the industry where these funds came from in the first place. All right? And that, of course, reinforces the fact that this is a dedicated source of revenue and can't be used like other sources such as property and sales tax. So any questions about that so far? We made our big bold statement, we walked through it, and now we're going to get into step 2, which is a lot lengthier talk in terms of the categories, but I want to make sure that we're all clear on that first one before we move ahead.